Acts chapter 27, verse 22 onwards. And now I urge you to take heart, for there will be no loss of life among you, but only of the ship. 23. For there stood by me this night an angel of the God, to whom I belong and whom I serve. 24. Saying, do not be afraid. Paul, you must be brought before Caesar. And indeed God has granted you all those who sail with you. 25. Therefore take heart, men, for I believe God that it will be just as it was told me. The core verse is 25. This is the promise for this year. Acts 27:25. Therefore take heart, men, for I believe God that it will be just as it was told me. Take heart, men. That means be bold. Don't be scared. Verse 22, first line. I urge you to take heart. Be bold. Don't get afraid. Don't fear. Don't be scared. Because around 270 people were sailing in the ship in which Paul was sailing. There was storm. There was heavy rain. And the ship was out of control, and the ship was tossed here and there. And darkness for 14 days, no sun, no stars. They didn't know where they are tossed to. And they lost their hope. They didn't eat anything for 14 days because of vexation. In that context, in that situation, God spoke to Paul, fear not, Paul. Verse 24, saying, do not be afraid, Paul. First step, Paul's fears were removed. Second step, Paul was asked to encourage others. Paul was asked to make his sojourners bold. The first thing, God will remove our fears. We will be free from our fears. We have been in fear for around 2 years. COVID first wave and second wave, it affected some people's lifetime. It affected some people's health. It touched most of us. COVID-19, 19, 20, 21, 3 years, third year, and now fourth year is coming. The third wave has touched India already. In Western countries, the third wave is prevailing. Omicron. It has been named as Omicron. But, we have fears on our health, on our lifetime, on our finance, on our children's education, on our families' of peace, on our psychological health because of lockdown and because of the impact of COVID-19 upon finance. Our family, many people's family, many people's mental health, many people's finance, so many children's education, and some people's health were badly affected. So most of the people are in fear. Fear has gripped them. So first, the Lord speaks about our fears. Fear not. Don't get afraid. Don't be scared. God is encouraging us. This is the first part of the Word of God. The second part is, it will be just as it was told me. It will be just as it was told me. What was told to Paul? Verse 22, Second line, there will be no loss of life among you. No loss of life. Nobody will die. Those who are connected with your life, those who are linked with your life, among them, even a single person will not die. All will be alive. All persons who are connected with you, who are sailing with you, who are sojourners of your life, who are traveling in your life, will be protected. Their lives will be protected. There will not be any harm for their lifetime, says the Lord. The same thing is repeated in verse 24, last line. God has granted you all those who sail with you. God has granted you. God could have saved Paul and his friends through the angel who met Paul. God didn't need to save other 270 people who were unsaved. Some of them were criminals. Some of them were taken to a trial before the King of Kings, before the emperor. Some of them were prisoners. Some of them were soldiers. So many kind of people from many background, from many age group were sailing in the ship. God could have protected Paul and his companions through the angels miraculously. He could have taken out of the ship, and God could have saved Paul and his friends alone. But God promised, because they are sailing with you, they may be unsaved, they may be sinners, they may be wicked, no matter. Only because they are sailing with you, they are traveling with you in your life, I will protect them, I will save them. The second part of the word of God is God will protect everyone who are traveling in your life. They may be unsaved, they may be wicked, they may be atheist, no problem. They may be, bad people, no problem. God will protect them because they are connected with your daily routine, your life. Another thing, what God told to Paul, God told in verse 23, for there stood by me, verse 24, you must be brought before Caesar. Paul, you will be brought before the King of Kings, Caesar, the emperor of Roman Empire, who was ruling most part of the world. The emperor of Roman Empire. He was worshipped as God by most of the people. He was God in many people's eyes, and they were worshipping him as God in those days. Simply seeing Caesar is more or less impossible. But God promised Paul, you will stand before Caesar. There is a verse in Proverbs, if somebody is faithful in his work, he will stand before kings. So the final part of the word is God will make you to stand before kings or officers or authorities or leaders, and God's going to honor you. God's going to give you appreciation. God's going to give you fame, good name, and God's going to give you approval, recognition. This is a final part of the word of God. So three things, basic things God is promising you this year 2022. One, God will deliver you from all fears and use you to encourage others. Secondly, because of you, God will protect everyone around you connected with your life. God will save their lives, protect them. Thirdly, God will make you to stand before kings or leaders and or authorities, and God will give you fame, honor, recognition, and approval. Happy New Year. God bless you.